I actually started out as being a contractor out of the office, and then they brought me in full-time, and that's when stuff really started moving forward, once you're actually part of that back-and-forth process.
I would like to apologize. Yes, we will take questions. I would like to apologize for those who would like to become sound designers, because the people that will be telling you what they want out of you don't know what they're talking about. Like, he would make something, and I would say, no, it should sound more, I don't know, deep or dirty or whatever, and he would do something and come back, and I'd be like, no, it should totally not sound like the thing that I asked it to sound like before. So you are a specialist, and everyone else is morons, and eventually you will arrive at what the morons are asking for, and they will be very happy with you, but until then, it will be difficult. Because, yeah, exactly. Because you're a sound guy so that we don't have to be.
Yeah. No problem.
Yes.
We had a question?
Yes, we had two.
So we have the leaves, so we have two questions. But have you guys considered, when you have funding, doing a sound patch of Carousel saying, take the shot, take the goddamn shot?
Some of that.
Is that covered in the rating? That would pretty much be the only concern.
I don't think you could say goddamn in Spain, can you?
I don't know. That's
Yeah,
fine
the
to me.
ESRB is really mean. Well, they're not really mean. They're really strict. So if you put out something that violates the rating that your game states that it has, it's something like $10,000 per violation per platform. So most of the answers are asterisked by when allowed.
That'd be cool, though.
And then secondly, when you guys are finalizing a character, do you ever think, wow,
this is going to be so hard for someone to try to cosplay. Wow, this is so figure out how this works. Spare us.
It does cross my mind, but then I do it anyway because I want to see someone do it. I mean, like Painwheel and Peacock. I'm surprised to see Peacock arms pulled off and stuff.
Yeah, and Sarabella too.
Oh yeah, that's always crazy.
Shouts out to every Sarabella cosplayer that exists, because man, those are heavy. Yes, of course. We're talking about the cat.
The hat.
Oh, the hat.
Oh, the cat.
Yeah.
Do you want to talk about the cat? Because you were talking about bad art in the game.
Oh, yeah. So, you can.
Okay. Well, for a while, whenever John would get up from his desk, thank you. Bye.
Can I take a picture?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, I'll keep talking.
Bye-bye, the only Skullgirls cosplayer that came.
So for a while, whenever John would get up from his computer, I would get up and draw a cat on his screen.
I have a whole cat gallery from Skullgirls.
And he would always have whatever he was working on the screen. So I was drawing cats on frames of Sarabella and Miss Fortune and stuff. And I think most of the time he was deleting them, but one made it through and made it to Mike. It was a cat that I drew on a frame of Sarabella.
Yeah, it was on the middle of the frame of her rush punch,
the lock and
which
load,
is why
yeah.
it's on her rush punch. But so I took it and I put it in as a 1/100th of a time. Wow, that was great English. 1/100th of the time when you hit with a rush punch, it'll randomly spawn this cat that we actually. So, bye. So she took more. I guess the cat's a she because I had a gray cat and it was a she. It took more work than I thought because I actually animated it. Yes, that's right. I have art. Yeah. So, and also it has a different color for every Sarabella palette. So
the cat is canon, by the way.
Yeah, the cat is canon. She has a poorly drawn cat that she found in an alley and took home.
I'm pretty sure likes cats.
Oh yeah?
Right? Yeah.
Okay. That's excellent, because if she liked dogs, that would be really bad.
Billy and Painwheel are
Dog people?
dog people, yeah.
Oh man.
Okay, that's it.
Yeah. There was totally another question from someone that's still here.
So, I'm assuming you guys didn't have a producer?
We did. We had two different people who were producers during the project, and we had our first producer, And then we hired another exclusive producer, and then the original one became more of a programmer, I guess. Yeah. Val?
Yeah.
Val. And yeah, they helped organize and oversee everything and make sure everyone was getting stuff done by the deadlines, which Art was actually good about getting stuff done by our deadlines, but what about you?
Way to put the pressure on.
I ain't saying nothing anywhere because the game came out.
Right. That's true.
Part of it was that the producer was, how do I put this nicely at all?
I liked her.
No, not her. She was listening to someone that was out of touch with what actually needed to get done.
Office politics.
Yeah, office politics. They're awful. Make sure you vet who you're going to work with. Because we were awful.
Yeah.
Yes, so I was frequently behind, and everyone was very mad at me. And then I was done when I was supposed to be. So, yeah.
Okay.
The best producers in video games actually know what you guys are working on from previous experience, and I don't think we could really find anyone that was going through the experience that we were going through last year. So
someone giving birth, maybe.
Yeah.
Did you have any producer-specific questions, or?
I was just curious because, no offense, it sounded a little unorganized.
Yeah.
Yes?
Yeah.
Mistaken. That's true.
Well, it was hard because none of us had really tackled anything like this before, and even if we did find a skilled game producer, it was like, well, how do we manage a 2D animation pipeline?
Yeah.
Do you think it would have been better to have a producer that had experience in animation?
A lot of the trouble didn't come from the animation; it came from managing just everything. Like
A lot of it came from office politics, honestly.
Yeah.
Which you can't avoid, and you will have to deal with. But like, what ended up happening was we ended up managing a lot of the stuff that needed to get done ourselves because the schedule for what was actually supposed to get done had nothing to do with what needed to actually get done. So yes, if we had a producer that was in tune with what we were supposed to do, and like the producer was really good, like I wrote her a recommendation, but there were unrelated problems. I believe the correct phrase is no comment.
Yeah. I think part of the reason Meryl was touching on this before was because no one like that we could find had worked on a 2D project for a video game before. But I think more specifically, no one worked on a 2D fighting game in America except like Mortal Kombat and I don't know.
And they were in 2D for like 10 years.
Yeah. Fighting games in general.
So it's such a big difference compared to any other project that I don't think we could have found someone unless maybe they came from Japan and then there'd be a language barrier and like it'd just be crazy.
We had language barriers anyway.
Yeah.
I was actually going to say, so programming was behind for most of the project, but that was because when we started, we had someone that was supposed to write the renderer because the engine had existed for a very long time, but it wasn't HD. It was standard definition, so we needed to write a new renderer for PS3 and actually have it support widescreen and everything. So we brought in someone who's supposed to do that, who didn't do it, and myself and one other person ended up basically rewriting most of the renderer again after that, which made us like 3 months behind from the start. So we were 3 months behind, then we were 2 months behind, then we were 1 month behind, then we were behind, but we were catching up the whole time. So a lot of it came down to that impacting like everything through the rest of the project.
Oh, sorry. I was going to say. Plus, you were also on the road a lot, more than like.
Oh yeah, because I was doing PR.
Yeah, because you were doing the location.
It was like, hey, Mike's not going to be here this week because he has to go to the East Coast because we're doing a tournament like East Coast Throwdown, or he has to go to GDC and do 40 interviews in 3 days, which was unfortunate because I was the one that did a lot of the programming and I knew the engine inside and out. And when other people had questions, they had to ask me. So, yeah, I was totally a bottleneck, but there was no one else that would go and speak because we didn't hire anyone else to go and speak.
Yeah. I want to say, though, that this giant mess isn't unique to our game. Like,
Not even close.
Video games in general are really messy and horrible. to
And
work
actually,
in.
a thing I was really impressed with, because I mean, I guess I should do this. Oh, that's like lots better. So I worked at Pandemic Studios from 2003 through close, and then at EA for a small amount of time. Yeah, scoping problems and all the rest of the stuff and it being a giant mess aren't unique to anything. But one of the things that I was really surprised by on this project is how little we wasted. I've been on projects where like the main character was supposed to climb along the bottom of a train, for example, so the animator was tasked with 2 weeks to go and make a whole animation set of him like crawling along the underside of a carriage and climbing up ladders on the top and peering in windows and all that stuff. And anyone who played any of Pandemic's games can probably figure out which one this was, because I think only one game had a train in it. But that whole thing got cut after the animator had already done 2 weeks of work. I know from talking to people on other fighting games that like movesets get made and changed around and thrown out and all that other stuff. As far as this project went, because we did the brainstorming for the character and then deciding what the moves were going to be, make the roughs, put the roughs in the game, and then if we're missing a move, make it, and if the move doesn't work out, change it. Then once everything is in the game and can play as roughs, go back to the animators, have them animate it, and then have them clean it up after that. We ended up wasting 5 cleaned up animations and 10 fully animated animations over the course of the entire project, which is like unheard of as far as games I've been on before. I mean, one of the things that happened because of the overall mess was that we ended up working together really well as a team, and the process kind of like stood up to all of the problems that we had, which was really amazing. And actually the figures I gave for wasting animations totally ignore Double, because Double reuses several of the animations that we would otherwise have wasted. So if you include Double, which you probably shouldn't because she reuses stuff, then we ended up wasting 1 cleaned up animation and 1 fully animated thing that wasn't cleaned up. Which, huh?
One of
Are we
Double's.
counting?
Oh yeah, okay.
Peacock's intro.
No,
It's usually
that was
Double's
in the
super-
car.
Oh, I guess it is, yes.
But you don't use any of the beginning animation. Nick did all of it. Where's Nick? No, he's gone, Nick!
Oh, I don't use any of which one? Oh, the beam?
No. The beginning part of...
Oh, yes. We used some of it.
Do you want to just say what happened with that in general?
Which?
Oh,
Peacock's
it's
intro?
memory. It's just memory.
It was, I mean, I
Timing
guess.
also.
So, first of all, to conclude my previous thread, to me, as having worked on many projects, like not just in games, lots of stuff gets wasted, and the amount of stuff that we didn't waste is really amazing. So if we'd have had a producer, it probably would have gone a little faster, but the result wouldn't have been very much better. And as far as the thing that they asked me to explain, Double's car is actually Peacock's intro. So she had an intro, like her intro wasn't supposed to be she teleports in. That was actually something that I did just so she had an intro before we had her intro. She had a drive-by of the car with like everybody on it, and one of the bombs falls off and like runs off the screen, and then it drives back the other way and drops her off and leaves. We didn't end up using it because of memory restrictions, because that intro alone, since all of the art was really big. Actually, big doesn't matter. It's the amount of detail that's in it, because like the the elephant that Peacock drops takes up like no space because it's one solid color for the whole thing. But anyway, so we didn't end up using that because of memory constraints, but we did end up using it for Double's car because it was too cool a piece of art to waste entirely. Yeah.
I want to mention that there's a Peacock super animated where she paints a tunnel and a train comes out.
Oh yeah, that was pretty cool.
That's super. So sad.
Yeah, that was also memory.
And then the other throw for Peacock.
Oh.
The one that...
Oh yeah.
Peacock has a throw where like she like summons like her minions. Like
Yeah, like Tommy grabs her by the leg, by the enemy by the legs, and then like Andy comes out.
It depends on which way you're facing.
Right. Oh yeah, that's you. Whether it's throwing them away or throwing them towards you. Andy will come out and punch you a few times and then do an uppercut, and then like sends you flying. Or from the other direction, George will come out with a golf club and club you over the head a few times. It is
yeah, and it did the thing where the like from cartoons where you hit them with the golf club and it gets a little bend in it.
Then his 8 turns into a 4, and then he swings.
Oh, Lord.